Good afternoon, everyone. If I can have your attention. Everybody get a great comfy seat here. So glad to have you with us here today. My name is Dale Duff. My colleague Brian Stackpole from the ticket here as well. He's going to be snapping some pictures along the way as well. So if you need some specific pictures taken, we'll try to get some with the winners and their nominators at the end as well too. So we'll do all of that coming up as well. So thank you all for coming tonight. I believe Christina is saying we may have a record crowd here tonight. Believe it or not, it doesn't feel like it, but we got over 50 people here, which is great. I would say volunteers did a great job getting the people out this year. This is great. And the nominators. Welcome to our 5th annual Sports Heroes Award luncheon. And we welcome the nominators, who we'll meet in just a few moments. We welcome our winners and all of their family and friends. We welcome some members of our special panel that helps us select our winners. We'll introduce those in just a moment. All the folks at Town Square Media, Marin is here and Dan is here. I'm trying to think, Jeff Tuttle is up high up there as well. So thanks everybody from Town Square Media for helping to make this possible. And of course, our partners here at Heroes Sports Grill, Christina and Quinn. Is there anybody more locally minded than Heroes Sports Grill? Let's give them a real hand. And also our help from award signage and trophies for these beautiful plaques that we're going to be handing out here very soon. Someone once said that volunteers don't necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. And so today, we want to say thank you to 4 folks who have 4 of the biggest hearts in our area because of their volunteerism. I cover sports every day and have done so for about 39 years now, and they can't get rid of me yet, but I see it every day, the impact that volunteers have on community programs, on the programs every single day. Obviously, there are tight budgets, and volunteers, booster groups, they're needed now more than ever. Our Sports Heroes program, we started 5 years ago, was a way to try to publicly honor the best of the best volunteers in our region, and it's hoped that with increased publicity on the whole thing that even more folks would step up and volunteer. And I'll bet you all would say, wouldn't it be great if we had more people stepping up and volunteering along the way? So that's the whole intent of this whole program that we started 5 years ago. And also what's heartwarming is I think at the end of this day we'll have 16 winners over the 5 years. And I believe they come from 13 different communities. Guilford, Bar Harbor, Belfast, Bangor, Holden, Orrington, Newport, Dedham, Greenville, Dover, Foxcroft, Corinth, Brewer, Stetson, and it's not done by design. Believe me, we just pick what we think are the best group for that year, but we have stretched out our program for 13 different communities here in our area. I just want to let everybody know about the process that is involved with all of this. Each year we ask for nominations from people. And, do you know somebody in your community that should be recognized? And so this year we'll say thanks to Ryan, Ben, and Kelly. We'll hear from them coming up here for taking the time, first of all, to nominate and honor our winners here today. Once we have our list of what we would like to do is give out a Sports Hero Award to every nomination because they all really deserve it. We ask a special group of folks to help us select 3 to 4 winners each year. And I know Dr. Lee is here. Dr. Lee Spironis is the director of Husson University Sport, Hospitality, and Tourism. He's an assistant coach. Used to be with softball. Now he's with the football team, and he's a great helper with all of this, and we thank him for his service. Fire Up is here, I think, right, Dennis? Where's Dennis? Everybody knows Dennis. Dennis is a longtime athletic administrator and teacher and coach, still coaching, and also on our crew. I don't think Mary is here today. Mary Katie? Mary, is she here? She usually comes, but Mary, you may know from if you've involved with track and field. She's been involved with track and field events. She's a former golf coach years ago at Orono High School. And Beth Staples, sometimes you may hear her voice on some of our broadcasts. She's a former player and coach at Colby. She coached high school basketball. She's a writer at the University of Maine right now and couldn't be here today. So those are some of the folks on our panel that help us to come up with the decision. We try to find folks, and they've been great, understanding the role of volunteers. They're volunteers themselves in many aspects of what they do too. So we thank them. Thank you, Lee, for being here and helping out here. And then our special partners in our program here, the folks at Hero Sports Grill. And Christina and Quinn, people may or may not know, besides this wonderful business that they run, Christina coaches cheering, and Quinn coaches hockey, so they know about coaching and booster clubs and help and getting everybody to help out. And I'd like to ask Christina to come up and say a few words at this time. Christina Parody.
So on behalf of Hero Sports Grill, I just want to thank all of you for coming, and I want to thank all of you for what you do. Because of your drive, your compassion, and selflessness, many young athletes have been given opportunities that they wouldn't normally have. Thank you for seeing the big picture. Without individuals like you, many areas would not have the opportunities that they have today. With tight budgets, it's often hard to fund projects that are needed. Like Dale said, volunteers do not necessarily have the time, but they have the heart. So I want to thank you guys for sacrificing for our youth and for having the heart to be there.
And so now it's time to meet our volunteers and our volunteer winners. Through the nomination process, I get a chance to see a lot of what they do with their time in volunteering. And it's hard to believe that if you take a look at all of our winners today, they volunteer coach, volunteer clock keepers, volunteer fundraisers, volunteer referees, volunteer concessions, volunteer trash picker-uppers. And that is the definition of a volunteer, and all of these folks either do all or most all of these volunteer efforts. Our first winner this year is Bernie Oster from Stetson, and she was nominated by Ryan Welch. And I'm going to ask Ryan to come up and say a few words. She's very heavily involved with the Special Olympics, especially the Maine Special Olympic Games that take place up in Orono. What a wonderful event that is. Every June in the state of Maine, the police run and the parade through downtown Orono and the games that go on. And she has volunteered forever with everything involved with that. And I'm going to ask Ryan Welch, her nominator, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much, and I apologize. I'm in the process of losing my voice, so if I sound like a teenage boy, I apologize. So, thank you to Dale and everybody here at Heroes First. It is my distinct pleasure this afternoon to introduce Bernie Oster as a sports hero. Bernie is truly a hero for Special Olympics athletes across the state of Maine. For those who are not familiar, Special Olympics is a worldwide sporting organization dedicated to helping those with intellectual disabilities discover new strengths and abilities, skills, and success through their participation in sporting events and social activities. Bernie has been involved with Special Olympics in Maine longer than many of us have been. We'll just say it's been a long time. Bernie coordinates the Athletes Village at the Maine Special Olympics Summer Games every year. This is a place for athletes to gather with their peers and participate in community-building activities between the events they're competing in during the day. Bernie serves on the training committee for Special Olympics Maine, bringing her expertise and knowledge to bear on the various sporting events held throughout the year. Locally, Bernie serves as the area co-manager for Penobscot, Piscataquis, and Hancock County Special Olympics. In this capacity, Bernie helps guide the area management team in planning and carrying out events. Many are familiar with the summer games and the winter games held by the state, but not many outside the organization know that the area holds events nearly every month of the year, everything from bowling to track to swimming to our local area winter games. Many of these events draw over 500 athletes, and Bernie's organization and guidance ensures that they all have a great time with wonderful and friendly competition. Bernie has traveled around the world for Special Olympics, including serving as a unified bocce partner at the USA Games in New Jersey and the World Games in China. Bernie's tremendously supportive husband, Dan, is always there for her. Her son, Chris, who was not able to join us today, is himself an accomplished Special Olympics athlete who has competed across the globe in various events. Bernie works for Citizens of Maine, an organization that embodies her commitment to those with intellectual, cognitive, and physical disabilities. While all of the above would be enough to recognize Bernie with this award, it is her never-ending support and encouragement of those with intellectual disabilities that make Bernie the hero she is. Special Olympics encourages the world to see those with disabilities as simply someone with different abilities. Bernie is constantly striving to make the lives of the athletes better and help them to recognize their full potential. She accomplishes this by pushing them to be their best, whether on the sporting field or at an event or on the dance floor at one of the many events that we have during the year. There is no one who has done more for the sporting community in this area than Bernie Oster. While Special Olympics does not get the mainstream recognition that high school and college sports do, seeing the smiles on the faces of the participants after their events, no matter where they place, is the most rewarding experience in the world. All of that would not be possible without the energy and commitment of Bernie Oster. Bernie is the definition of a sports hero. Thank you.
And so without further ado, this special plaque reads, "In recognition of your dedicated service and volunteerism to your community, Bernie Oster 2017 Sports Heroes Award winner." We'll take some pictures afterward, too, so that everybody will have a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want to say a few words?
I do.
Come right up.
And having been around forever, as Ryan said, I have an old memory, and so I have notes so I don't forget what I wanted to say. I want to say it's such an honor to receive this award, although in truth it belongs to many others, as much if not more than me. The Penobscot, Piscataquis, Hancock Area Special Olympics Management Team are the ones that make everything possible. Wendy is co-area manager, Winter Games coordinator, spring track and field coordinator. Ryan is treasurer, spring track and field coordinator, and just whatever needs to be done. Christina in the games management and miracle worker. Jeff at bocce, flag football, and soccer. Robin, basketball and soccer, Paul, bowling and Mickey's 5K coordinator, and who also signed a contract with Cheryl in blood that they would always volunteer with me. Mindy is our swim coordinator, Michelle is a unified partner. I mean, you're the ones who make our area the very best in the state, the ones that put our athletes first. And our athletes are the true heroes every day as they show the world that people with intellectual disabilities can do whatever they make their minds up to do. To Julie and Darren for being such supportive bosses, allowing me the time and the space to manage the area and spend time with our athletes. To my husband Dan, who makes it possible to do all I want. My son Chris, who brought me into Special Olympics 28 years ago, and who brought Mickey, Phil, and Mark into my life. And they've all had a tremendous influence on me. Finally, thank you Wendy and Ryan for nominating me, and thank you 92.9 The Ticket and Heroes for this amazing recognition.
Thank you, Bernie. And now our second award winner is Tyler Smith from Brewer, and he was nominated by Ben Goodwin. I will tell a quick story. I was talking to Tyler there about halfway through the fall season. He was running a clock at a soccer game, and we were talking about everything from A to Z with sports or whatever as we did. I don't think running a clock for a soccer game is too tough, even to volunteer. And I wasn't doing much either. I was supposed to be covering the game. But anyway, we talked about, as we always do, about 1,000 different things. And then it was so interesting that Ben, unbeknownst to anything, about 2 or 3, 4 days later, or whatever, there was a nomination that came in via email. And I remember thinking, leaving, because it was a freezing day, or I was cold anyway, that, you know, geez, somebody like that ought to be, that's what we're looking for. And lo and behold, Ben brought in Tyler's name. He's Mr. Everything with a lot of the Brewer stuff going on. And I'm going to ask Ben Goodwin. You may know him as the basketball coach at Brewer High School. He nominated Tyler, and I'm going to ask him to say a few words.
First, I'd like to thank Heroes and 92.9 The Ticket for this great opportunity to recognize all the nominees today. And congratulations to the other nominees. It's just wonderful, the time all you volunteers put in. But for Tyler, I've known Tyler now for quite a few years, and I knew what he did for our community in Brewer. When I first started coaching in Brewer, we started a travel program, and he was the one that helped run the whole thing. And he's been the president ever since and runs it all for us. The time he volunteers at keeping the scorebooks, the clocks, he's at everything here at Brewer. So I knew what he did for our community, but when I decided to nominate him, I sent his wife a text and to get other stuff that he does, because I knew he was involved in a lot more. And first thing she writes me back is, hey, just to give you a heads up, Tyler's going to be very upset with you if you nominate him for this. So once we got by that part with Tyler, then I was amazed at the list of stuff he does for not just Brewer, but for everybody around us. He's on different boards. He owns his own company. And just the time he volunteers to help out other communities, not just Brewer. And that was unique for me to see, because I know how much time he puts in for us, but all the time that he puts in outside of his own community to help kids and help other organizations and just help people. And that was wonderful to see. I know for us, I just talked to Tyler here, and his question was, why? Why would you nominate me? And I think that is part of it. You know, somebody that dedicates so much time and his effort to it, but doesn't want anything back. Doesn't want anybody to know what he does. Likes to stay in that back burner. But he's still out there doing it. A story that I liked, just the other day, I showed up to watch some travel basketball games here in Brewer. We have them all day long on Sunday, and of course Tyler's there all day, keeping the clock, running things, making sure it all goes smooth. For me, it was neat to see when I came in to watch some games, I sit down next to Tyler, and Tyler's keeping the clock. His son Colby is right next to him, helping him out. His daughter Cassidy is keeping the scorebook. And Janelle, his wife, was up in the stands watching a game with, she didn't have any kids playing in it, but their whole family was involved in it. And for that, it's pretty neat to see that, you know, Tyler and his family is so involved in their community and what they do. And, you know, this honor was was well deserved for Tyler, and congratulations.
And Tyler, come on up. In recognition of your dedicated service and volunteerism to your community, our 2017 Sports Hero Award winner, Tyler Smith.
I had to put some notes down because I'm not too quick on my feet. So I want to first I want to thank Dale and the radio station 92.9 The Ticket. I want to thank Heroes. Being recognized for volunteering, sports, 92.9 The Radio, Heroes. I mean, this is my genre. I mean, you could have given me this award down at Heroes probably next Friday and Saturday night. I don't know. So, but I really appreciate it, and I want to thank a few people. I want to thank the nominating committee, and to find out that my old coach, or young coach, I should say, Coach Dennis Kaya, is involved makes it even more of a nice honor. We all have people in our lives that have been a positive impact on us. We feel are who we are today because of, and I can honestly say that Dennis Kaya is one of those guys for me. I played for him all through high school, and so I appreciate the fact that he's involved in this as well. And I want to thank the other nominating people. I want to thank Ben Goodwin. I took him aside before this, and I said, Ben, the fact that you would take time out of your busy life to nominate me is amazing. And if anybody doesn't know Ben, high school coach, but not just that, he's at all the youth sports. He's got a young family. Such a great role model for our kids in our community, and I'm privileged to be able to coach with him. He actually asked me to be an assistant on the high school team the last couple of years, which I really enjoy. So I really appreciate the fact that he would take the time to do this, and it's a great honor. I want to congratulate all the other recipients. Everyone is a tremendous story, and I know what it takes to volunteer, and congratulations. That's fantastic. And I want to thank all the other volunteers out there, because I'm getting credit for just a small piece of what I do, and there's tons of people that step up and do that stuff. And Coach, like I'm looking right now, Coach Pushard, who's his son and my son grew up together, and he was right there coaching against me or with me all the way through. So it's been great. I want to thank my family. My parents are here, and my wife, who lets me do the volunteering. I appreciate that. And my daughter is here. She hasn't always loved my volunteering and coaching, but she's always been supportive. But no, she's been great. I've been very fortunate to be able to coach my kids. I want to thank my brother, who's here, who's also my business partner. Someone in the family's got to work. So when I'm at the field, or taking off early to go coach or do whatever, and Mitch is back at the shop making sure that we have some income coming. So I appreciate that. I want to thank the Brewer School system. Mr. Utterback is not here, and the coaches and staff there. I've been very fortunate that they've allowed me to volunteer at the school and to help. They learned a long time ago that it was better to keep me busy keeping books or doing the clock than sitting in the stands cheering and rooting. So they were very, very, very smart with that. I think I said my family, but I want to especially thank my wife as well, Janelle, who obviously allows me to volunteer and to coach and do the things that I like to do. And again, I think I've got most everybody. There's so many people that do what I do and don't get credit, and you couldn't do any of these things without people stepping up, especially today with youth sports and whatever it is. So it's a great award, and I really want to thank everybody for knowing me and recognizing me. So thank you very much.
Our next award winners, this is kind of a first for our 5-year program. It's kind of a tag team approach. A mom and a son, Tim and Linda Hodgins of Orrington. And they were nominated by Kelly Bay. I'm going to ask Kelly to come up and say a few words about Coach Shorty, right? And she said she doesn't want to speak, that Tim's going to do all the speaking here. I'll bet, though, once we get started with the microphone, she's going to have something to say. They've been involved. Linda's coached, if you go way back to the 1980s, and all that's involved with Little League and softball and all of that. Tim's right there involved as well, helping, coaching, fundraising. I think you said, or somebody had said, maybe Kelly, that baseball is not even your best sport to coach, is it? Or is it football? Or It is baseball. Yeah, good. And whether it means the concession stand or fundraising or coaching, Coach Shorty and Tim are right there, and I'll have Kelly speak more of their nomination. This is Kelly Bay. Kelly?
Actually, I said soccer. But anyways, so Linda, I don't want to speak either. I'm a writer, so usually I'm not up here. But anyways, maybe I can convince you to speak too. So a long time ago, our town of Orrington wanted to bring some sports to our town. And so Linda Hodgins, many moons ago, said, I will be happy to do that. So she helped with some other people bring some sports to our town. And so how she helped is that she brought in a snack shack, teeny tiny little snack shack, which doesn't look the same today. And so she was up there working in the snack shack, and there was a softball team playing and a baseball team, and then there was some other girls playing on the side, and she heard that they needed a softball coach. So she said, you needed a softball coach? She jumped right out and said, here I am. What do you need? So she jumped out. She didn't have a daughter. She just jumped out and helped out. And she has been Coach Shorty to the rest of us ever since. I was lucky enough to be one of those girls. So she coached us no matter what was going on. If we didn't have a field, because we had to share a field back then, teeny tiny little thing. And so we would sometimes play in our backyard, Pine Hill Golf Course, and practice up there. And we would get our practice in. So we would do the best we could, and we, I believe, went pretty far on that team. What we found out later in my adult life is that the girls that were playing on the side were the girls, I can say this because I was one of them, were the ones that nobody wanted because maybe we didn't have the talent, or maybe we were the ones that we didn't know if they had the talent or whatever. So the other girls were chosen to play for the other softball team. There was only one. So Linda's like, I'll take anybody who wants to play. You want to play softball, I'm going to take you. I'm going to play any girl who wants to play, I'm going to teach them how to play. And she has been like that ever since. And when we played, we were undefeated for 2 years. Because it's about heart, just like they said. It's about giving the kids who truly want to play the chance to play and never giving up on them. And many of those girls who played for her, and she taught more than 2 years, I'm sure, we went on to play many other sports because she instilled the love of game. And she coached basketball, she coached all kinds of things, and she did so many other things. She just never gave up on any of us. And she's still in all of our lives today. She's amazing. And so she continues to coach. So then there's Tim. So I was going to just say ditto for Tim because I've known Tim for so long. And he is still that guy who's on every board. He started off on the rec, and I was on the rec board with him. He was our secretary. I don't think I saw too many notes, but he was there. And then he stepped up for every time we needed a coach, whether it was baseball and like I said, soccer, even though they said, you never played soccer. He's like, I'll figure it out. And he did just that. And he played basketball, and he coached basketball. He still refs today, and he refs on any time you need him. He just jumps out there. Even if he's in his jeans and his flannel, he puts on the whistle, and he goes out there, and he refs on our basketball. So he does that for us. And so it's just amazing that we have these two in our town. And so when Tim had his kids, boys, still no girls for Linda. It's okay, because Linda says every spring she has her 13 girls, no matter what, because they needed another coach. And so just like before, she said, I've got this. And when Orrington Little League needed somebody, Linda stepped up again. So this is who these two are. They're always stepping up, whether it's coaching, it's volunteering their time, it's running scoreboards, it's helping out on the field. They're always there, and I can see they're not stopping no matter what. They may say, well, I'm going to step down from the board, or they're not going anywhere. I'm quite sure of it. So the Orrington Recreation Committee has made for them 2 shirts, because we don't give keys in Orrington, we give you shirts. So you're not a key to Orrington, but these are your shirts from Orrington Rec, because you are a lifelong member forever. So thank you.
And now if we can have Tim and Linda come on up. Come right up close to this microphone, Linda. In recognition of your dedicated service and volunteerism to your community, a 2017 Sports Heroes Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Come right up.
So I'll speak on behalf of my mother as well. Obviously, I want to thank Quinn and Christina in 92.9, the ticket, the nominating committee, for everything you guys have done, and for all the other volunteers that were nominated as well. Like Kelly had mentioned, when I was the secretary of the rec board, I didn't take a whole lot of notes. So in true fashion, I don't have any notes for today either. So, but I do want to thank Kelly for nominating us. Been fortunate enough to coach her kids in different sports, and as she said, my mother coached her as well when she was younger. So the town of Orrington, to me, it's really special because we have a core group of volunteers that are always there no matter what sport it is, or any fundraisers or even scouts. It's the same core group of people. And there's really been a lot that's happened in Orrington in the last few years. You see most of our core group of volunteers are here. Our recreation coordinator, presidents, vice presidents, secretaries, treasurers, they're all here today. Even people that do the CPR training for the board and volunteer in many other ways. In the last few years, not only have we built new dugouts, most recently soccer shelters, a press box, storage areas, and done a lot of work to the facility. And we've run some baseball and softball tournaments the last few years, and the compliments that we've got on the facility and the people running it has been amazing. Certainly probably the best snack shack around. That's one of the big draws. People are always commenting on the snack shack. So, and that's one of the things that my mother really helps out during tournament time. Those shifts where nobody can get there and work, she'll show up and help work. So very fortunate to have volunteers like that as well, including the parents who have busy lives as well, but still take time to do all the volunteering. This award is actually shared with those core group of volunteers out there. As many of you probably know, even though you may have the title of fundraising coordinator or equipment manager or treasurer, etc., you end up taking on many different roles. So you may be out doing field maintenance, you may be picking up garbage after a game, you may be helping out with fundraising. And just because it's a title doesn't actually mean that that's what you're doing all the time. So we have had a very strong rec board and Little League board the last few years. There's some new volunteers coming aboard, and I suspect that it will be similar as it has in the past. But again, this is for that town of Orrington and all those volunteers that help out every day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim and Linda. You know, as we wrap up, a lot of times people will ask me, what's your favorite sport or what's your favorite event? And I always, at least for the past few years, I always say, well, I love high school basketball tournament week. There's nothing like high school basketball tournament week. I love the Kenduskeag Canoe Race Day, frankly, for 20-something years or so covering it. And then I love this day because we get a chance to really meet, and having some of the phone conversations over the past couple, 3 weeks with some of the folks too, just chatting too is fun. I just love this day of honoring our special heroes. We'll wrap up our presentation here today. We do invite you. I think there's some more food over the leftovers, so make sure that you take some with you if you would like to do that. We'll try to take some pictures with the award winners and nominators if you can stay. We understand if you're on a tight schedule. I'll leave you with a line from Tom Brokaw. Some of us in the room are old enough to know the veteran newsman Tom Brokaw. He's one of my favorites. He was at a function like this a few years ago and said, it's easy to make a buck. It's a lot tougher to make a difference. And so Bernie, Tyler, Linda, Tim, thank you for making a difference in your community. Thank you for being Sports Heroes Award winners. And thanks everybody for coming.